Thank you very much. Please settle down.
Put on your mics.
I request Chandra to give you an overview of the year and the quarter, following which we'll take questions as normal.
Thank you, Pradipta. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming in today. We have had another excellent quarter to round off the fiscal year FY10 with a very, very satisfying performance. What I want to do is to give you the color about the quarter first, then I'll give you the number for the year. The quarter Q4, we delivered 4% volume growth, 4.1% in revenue in terms of constant currency, and about 1.2% in terms of actual rupees. We had excellent improvement in margin both at the operating level and at the net profit level. At the operating level, we had an improvement of 51 basis points to deliver 28% operating margin and 201 basis points at the net profit level. And in terms of the yearly performance, we had a volume growth of 17% and a revenue growth of 8%. The overall net profit grew 33% from FY09 to FY10. From a Q4 basis, year on year, our net profits grew more than 50%. The annual net profit for the year crossed 7,000 crores. And we are also very happy to share that our board has recommended a final dividend of 4 rupees, that will take it to 10 rupees for the year as a whole, and an additional 10 rupees as a special dividend, making it overall 20 rupees per share. The revenues in absolute numbers for the year crossed 30,000 crores, another milestone. So it has been a good year in terms of financial performance. In terms of verticals, on a constant currency basis, all our verticals grew during the quarter. And all our markets also delivered growth overall. In terms of large deals, we won 10 large deals during the quarter, spread across a variety of verticals and also from different markets. We have a very solid platform which we can leverage for future growth. Our cost structure is intact. Our margins are all-time high since our listing in 2004. And we see a tremendous momentum across verticals with a significant momentum in financial services, retail, life sciences, followed by the verticals that are showing recovery, namely telecom, high-tech and manufacturing. And as you know, we announced a large deal with the government in the UK sector which will drive growth even in the government sector going forward. And coming to people, we have had an excellent payout in terms of variable pay during Q2 and Q3, where we paid out 150% of quarterly variable. In Q4 this quarter, we are making a quarterly variable payout of 125%. And in terms of salary increases for India-based employees, at a base level it's about 10%, but including promotions it's about 13% is the payout. For all developed markets, the increase is between 2 to 4%, and some of the emerging markets it's 2 to 10%. So across the board it has been satisfying financially for people-wise, in terms of deals, in terms of the customer sat, etc., and we see a great momentum. I'm looking forward to the future. With those, I think we'll open up for questions.
Veena.
Couple of questions. One, of course, would like you to break up the margins for us, and what kind of, are you expecting a dip going forward, because this is great, but the kind of pressure that is coming in from rupee. Also, I would like to know what kind of incremental growth from which verticals or which space has this quarter witnessed. And also on the wage hikes, Ajoy, the kind of, you're talking about attrition, isn't that sort of, net basis, what kind of add-ons are we looking at? 30,000 is a big number, but how many really will add on to the list?
Okay, the first question on this margin breaking up. See, the exchanges worked against us as far as this quarter is concerned, because as you know, rupee, dollar against dollar, we had an appreciation of rupee to the extent of about 2%, but against pound sterling and euro, it has been of much more than 7%. That has been the kind of increase, and therefore the exchange impact has been 1.92% negative from a margin perspective, and but then the offshore leverage, and there was a very marginal negative, that is slight increase in the on-site, that was 0.16%, and then the bad debts, there is a slight increase, that is about 59 basis point negative. The other expenses we had controlled, so there is a positive 41 basis points, and then the balance, which has really arisen as a result of improved efficiency, largely in the project management area and so on, and in the US GAAP that gets reflected in the gross margin, that one is 2.47%. So to a large extent, this has come as a result of increase in inefficiency, which has set off the issues that we have had with regard to the currency. Yeah.
In terms of growth, the growth has predominantly come from financial services, retail, life sciences. As I said, all the verticals have grown this quarter on a constant currency basis. On an actual rupee basis also, most of the verticals have grown. So it's been a good quarter, which marks the turning around of all the verticals that we operate in.
Coming to the other question of addition, as far as this year is concerned, it's been a complete business life cycle, starting from the point where the growth of demand was low, to the point where we have seen significant increase as far as the pace is concerned. And similarly, we have managed our recruitment also to manage the recruitment engine to reflect the kind of growth. So we have done that, and overall, if you look at this particular year, our total gross addition is 38,063, which is pretty significant. And in the quarter 4, if you look at, the net addition that we have done is 10,775, which is the highest ever organic addition that we have done so far. Right? So given these factors and the kind of wage increments that we talked about, first, the quarterly component of the VA, we are paying 125% this quarter, so that is 3 quarters in a row. 150%, 150%, and 25%. Now, wage increases, if you look at the increment that Chandra mentioned, it is 10% on an average for offshore, that is India-based employees. But if I look at the promotion cost and including that, it comes to about 13% on an average. For overseas, 2 to 4% for major markets, and 2 to 10% for emerging markets. Right? So these are the various things that we are doing, and these will definitely help us in meeting our employee expectations and also to control the attrition. Now, coming to the net addition, as far as this year is concerned, it has been more than 16,600. So that's the net addition that we have done in this financial year itself. And going forward, I think we will be continuing the way the demand forecast that we have. We will continue with that kind of growth, with that kind of net additions. And maybe the campus recruitment and the announcement that we had done was 30,000 is what we have said so far, gross addition. But as we go forward, right, as the demand picks up, we always have the option of doing off-campus drive and doing more laterals, increasing the proportion of that to take care of our requirements.
The numbers you gave are quarter on quarter or year on year?
Quarter on quarter.
Rohan.
Okay, congrats to entire team in TCS for this stellar performance. What is the total number of client adds that's not given in the
This quarter we added 39 new clients. 39.
We talk about how many of them maybe go from Europe and US?
I think the client addition has come very distributed. The good thing is that the traction is happening across the board. US, UK, Europe. In all three markets, we've added clients. Also, the emerging markets is picking up momentum. So I think my comment to you would be that it's broad-based, and we have seen in growth as well as client additions across verticals and markets.
In the future, there is a large utilities, power and energy, energy sort of a company in the energy sector in continental Europe. I'm not country name, but continental Europe, which is given like put up a very large IT tender of over $1 billion, but could be a game changer as far as the Europe market is concerned with vis-a-vis Indian vendors. Could you talk about anything as to maybe looking at any kind of deal from there in the future?
See, we don't talk about specific opportunity or a client, but all I would say is that the energy and utilities is a very important market for us, and we have significant presence in the UK as well as some parts of continental Europe. And we also have significant wins in the APDRP program in India, which already been announced in the market. We also have had wins in North America in the utilities and energy market. So overall, it's a very important vertical, and we will participate in the growth opportunity.
Last question from my side to Ajay. Ajay, as far as the salary is concerned, the wage hikes, it's pretty aggressive. Going forward, is this going to have, how much of an increased impact will this have?
Increase impact, the total impact, see the total impact if I look at, as far as my increment as well as promotion cost is concerned, all put together, both for India and overseas, my total spend is going to be around $193 million.
A little under 200.
Little under $200 million. So that's the kind of spend that we will have on this.
And he's comfortable with it.
And Maha is comfortable, yes.
What's the impact on the operating performance?
You see, from an operating margin perspective, definitely the wage hike and the currency both are headwinds, at least in near term.
Okay, next question, Kritika.
Okay, taking from that one particular question, are there other levers that you will be utilizing to control margins? Like you said, margins are at an all-time high. As we enter into the next year, what are the levers that we'll be utilizing right now?
See, we have said that repeatedly, that we are very focused on margin. We have maintained enormous pricing discipline. Even this quarter, our pricing has been flat. In fact, it's been a few basis points up. So we'll continue to exercise a lot of caution pricing. And I think Maha said it in his earlier comment. Most of the growth, all the margin expansion that you saw this quarter is about delivery performance. We have improved the operating margin in US GAAP by 39 basis points this quarter, overcoming the headwind of currency. We have lost about 3.1% of revenue due to currency. So we have been able to overcome that and still deliver a 39 basis point improvement in gross margin in US GAAP. And that basically shows the execution rigor that we have brought in and the productivity that we have brought in. And we will continue to improve our execution rigor. And most of our investments in the emerging markets are beginning to attain scale. So we will push the margins in those as well. And we'll continue to look at offshore leverage. And as I said earlier, we've got a cost base now, which is quite optimal. We brought down our SG&A over a period of time. We have increased the utilization of our experienced professionals. We have created a good bench with a significant trainee addition. This quarter, more than 8,500 trainees were inducted, and we've already made to 20,000 offers. So we will be inducting more fresh graduates, and we look at the pyramid. So we continue to remain confident.
Okay. Coming to geographies, last quarter we saw US was the fastest growing. You spoke about how important that is in the next 2 to 3 quarters. Can you just touch upon the geographies aside from US? Are there other areas that are also seeing growth aside from US?
See, yes, my own feeling is that all the geographies will deliver growth for the next fiscal year. And we will see the growth being led by the US and emerging markets, and UK followed by Europe.
Okay. Last question. Rupee appreciation, is that a factor? I mean, do we see that being as a deterrent for numbers? Maha, this question for you. Would that affect numbers in the next? Is that something of a concern for you?
It's a concern, obviously, because if rupee appreciates, but then we have.
What kind of an impact specifically has that had?
See, now we are coming closer to about 50 basis points for every 1% change. That's what we are, because especially when it appreciates, because all our expenses are in Indian rupees. So to that extent it is, and this is something that we need to monitor. But I want to just point out one thing, that we had significant rupee appreciation. You know, we all focus on dollars, but actually the non-dollar currency, which is pound and euro, you know, just to give you a picture, 50% of our, as compared to US dollar revenue, half of that is UK and Europe. But the impact that we had this quarter was the same as in United States, mainly because there has been much of a change. In spite of that, we have delivered an improvement in margin. Substantial amount of things. So rupee will continue to be a problem. I would like to live in a regime of 50 rupees, but I can't.
Sorry, Ravi.
Can you give a broad ballpark number guidance for this financial year as well?
We don't give broad, narrow guidance.
He tried his best.
Yeah, hi, Priyanka here from ET Now. Maha, 51% growth on year is really spectacular figure. So what really led to these high margins?
You see, if you this is as compared to the same quarter last year as to this quarter, 2001 crores as opposed to what we had in Q4 of FY09. But if you have traced the history from that point in time, we have consistently worked on improving all the margins, whether it is gross margin, whether it is operating margin, or whether it is the net margin and so on. There has been a substantial kind of increase in that. Of course, we had some amount of foreign exchange loss last year, which added to that, but disregarding that, because that's not a huge impact. That's an impact, but it's not a huge impact. We have it's a total improvement in efficiency in the organization.
So Q4 was an extraordinary quarter for you? I mean, that is what the figures signify.
The quarter from my perspective, it has been a great quarter, but we have been saying that every quarter has been great. So you can't call anything extraordinary. Probably something more is to come.
And when it comes to the verticals, manufacturing and telecom, they have seen a sort of flattish growth. So could you elaborate on that?
See, if you recall our commentary earlier quarters, we have said that BFSI, retail, life sciences and utilities are leading the growth, with telecom, manufacturing and high-tech lagging behind. And we also said that at the end of Q3, we will see the recovery in this, and then they will start growing, but it won't be a huge spike. They will grow flattish to a slow growth. And we have seen that in telecom, manufacturing and high-tech. And I can tell you that we have had deal wins in these three segments as well. So we expect to grow in all these verticals.
Any particular reason for telecom, and how do you see it now, like FY11?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, all the three verticals will grow in FY11. And, telecom, the story has been that one of our largest customers had a major degrowth during FY10. That's the reason. And manufacturing sector hurt the maximum during the crisis. Auto sector was a problem. And also, other manufacturing companies faced immense pressure during FY10. And high-tech sector always faces the heat whenever there is a crisis. So these three sectors had problems all through last year, but they have shown the recovery. They have delivered growth what you see is on rupee terms. Actually, if you see it on constant currency terms, the growth will be far better than what you see there. So they've all delivered growth. The best thing is all the verticals have delivered growth during Q4, and we expect them to continue to deliver growth.
Continue for the year, for this year?
I hope so. Confident.
Priyanka Joshi, Business Standard.
Just trying to understand the larger exposure in the data science segment. So if that has what is the negative impact of the currency headwinds? I mean, is that one of the reasons, or is there any other strategy at work?
No, I think it's not one vertical that has helped to overcome the currency situation. The currency situation has been overcome by exceptional delivery. We have, as I said, improved our gross margin by 39 basis points, overcoming most of the impact in the currency at the gross margin level, because that's where you have most of your projects and the project costs and the employee costs going, and we were able to overcome that. So it's the execution, I would say. It's not one segment.
And what about the kind of large deals are we going to see? I mean, we had some good deals in the last quarter. So is the market opening up with larger deals?
Yeah, we have announced 10 deals this quarter, and we are continuing to have a very healthy pipeline going forward.
Okay, hi Chandra. Just two questions. First, in the release it says new service lines have contributed 25% to the revenue. Can you touch upon which are these new service lines? Also, what Priyanka asked you about the deal pipeline, I am not sure if you will again tell me how large are the deals that you have won in this quarter. But when you say strong deal pipeline, can you elaborate on that? How many deals you see in the pipeline?
Your first question was?
First is on the new service lines.
By new service lines, what I meant is our infrastructure, BPO and assurance and products. These four together have now contributed 25% of our overall revenue. It used to be below 20%, and they have picked up momentum during the last few quarters. That's what we have said there. And in terms of the deals, I think the one deal is more than $500 million. A couple of deals more than $100 million, in the $140, $150 million range, and all the others are above $50 million. So it's a very healthy size of deals, and the deals that we are pursuing also vary anywhere from 50 million to 500 million.
Okay, and last thing, actually, I don't have the geographical mix with me. If you can help me with that. Last quarter, Europe was a bit slow. So how have America and Europe done this time? And India, it's the release says has shown growth. So if you can just take me through that as well.
As I said, the growth is in the order of US, UK, emerging markets, and then followed by Europe. Europe is lagging behind, and also US and UK and Europe are affected by the currency also. So when you look at the growth rate in terms of rupee terms, also there is a currency impact on these two markets. But in terms of real deal pipeline, we are seeing it across the board. And as I said, US and emerging markets will lead, and followed by UK and then Europe, at least for the near-term quarters. And it could change mid-year during the year. And India is doing very well for us. It's again delivered exceptional results this quarter. I expect India to do very well in FY11.
Yes, sir.
Hi. Three questions. First question is if you could tell us about the proportion of fixed price contracts to total. Second question is with respect to the wage hikes. You spoke about 150, 150 and 125. So do you expect further deceleration in that variable component going forward? And third question is with respect to your hedging policy. What percentage of your revenue are you hedging? You had something about 115%, I think, of your estimated Q4 revenue hedged. Given what your outlook on the rupee is, with respect to the pound and euro and dollar, what's your hedging policy? Thanks.
First question on this time and material fixed price. This quarter, our time and material was 51.3%, and our fixed price was for 48.7%. So there has been a marginal change. In fact, we have found that time and material has come down by about 70 basis points. Not a very, very big change and so on, but there has been a marginal change. For the year as a whole, we have always said we would be somewhere in the 50% mark for both of that. For a year as a whole, it was 52.2% and 47.8% was a fixed price. 52.2 was the time and material and so on. Since you have asked the question on hedging, I'll answer that before I leave it to Ajoy. You see, the hedging one is something that we take it for the purpose of delivering a certain value. We have 500 million hedges, but that's not really material from point of view. We will keep looking at what we need to do and take a decision and then go ahead. We don't take a call. We want to protect a number and we'll protect that number.
From a variable point of view, it's not the deceleration. What you have to understand is what we are paying out is there's a potential amount. Let's say the potential is 100. What we are paying out is 125. So it is 1.25 times the potential amount. The previous 2 quarters we had done 150%, that is right. But still what we are giving out is more than 100%. And it primarily depends on what kind of business results are we achieving. So it is an incentive scheme. So as we achieve better business results, even in the year going forward, which is FY11, as and when we achieve better business results, our associates will be rewarded in the same manner as we have been doing in the past. So it's a question of what kind of business results that you deliver.
If I may add to what Ajay has said, the important thing is, apart from whatever we have announced, we will continue to look at our performance, and if we do better than what we project, definitely there will be an additional QVA. So it really drives a performance culture in the company.
So this is calculated based on EVA as opposed to the financial numbers which you put out, because I mean
it is totally based on our EVA and margins that we deliver, and we've got an internal formula which we use.
Which is a group and the company. So it's not only based on an individual, it's also based on the company.
Sir, this question for Maha. Could you give us a color on the operating margins this quarter versus the previous quarter and the same period last year? And one question for Ajay. The wage hikes that you spoke about is effective when? And when do you think the impact of that on your margins will be revealed, in which quarter? If you could give us a timeline when it was implemented and when it would be realized on your books.
Yeah. Okay. No, operating margin, Kiran, I've already given that. I don't want to go back to the previous quarter because whatever I give is changed from the previous quarter. As I said, as far as
you could repeat that once.
Huh?
If you could repeat that.
Okay.
Sorry for
essentially this is quarter on quarter that you look at. This quarter we got impacted by, we had the operating margin of 27.3 last quarter. We have got 27.5 this quarter, so that 20 basis point improvement. And the previous quarter was close to about 25.8. So that's how we moved. 26.3 in the previous quarter. So this quarter the exchange rate had a negative impact of 1.92%. Last quarter it was 1.67%. And offshore leverage, as I said, there was a negative impact of 16 basis point. Last time we pushed a little more offshore, so there was a 17 basis point improvement. And the productivity improvements were 2.47% this time. Last time was 2.17%. So balance, you can take the balancing figures.
So 26.3% is the same period last year, is it?
Last quarter.
Last quarter.
Yeah, so 27.3 is what then?
27.3 was Q2.
Yeah.
Q3 was 26.3 was Q2, 27.3 was Q3, and 27.5 was this quarter.
You won't be able to give the same period last year?
No.
Karen, we take it offline.
Okay, from a wage hike point of view, I think there's a question, let me answer that. See, our wage hikes are dependent on individual performances, right? And performance of the company, performance of the business unit. So if you look at TCS, the kind of numbers that we are talking about is about 110, 120,000 people confirmed for whom the performance appraisal had to be done. So you can imagine the kind of scale. I don't believe there is any other organization which can match that kind of capacity to do that performance appraisal for everyone in time. And as far as the wage hikes are concerned, the normal regular increment of 10% that I said on an average, that is on an average that I am saying. But if you look at individually, the range is much wider. And that will be effective from 1st of April itself. And the letters should be going out to our employees very soon, maybe early next week. They would be getting the letters. And as far as the promotion-related increment cost is concerned, that comes in Q2. That is our normal way of doing that.
The appraisal for more than 125 to 130,000 people across 40 countries, all completed on 31st March, and the evaluation complete. To answer your question.
Thank you. Congratulations on numbers. You say deals are coming back and the pipeline also looks great. So could you give us a sense of the pricing? How does it look like as of now? And is there an expectation of better improvement in pricing? Also, since growth is back, do you see the SG&A expenses picking up?
There are a couple of points. First one is in terms of pricing. We have maintained extreme discipline. Even in this quarter, it's flat to a few basis points up. So we are very confident we'll hold the price. Second is in terms of increase in pricing, it may not come in immediate quarters, but we hope we'll be able to see some increase in pricing later part of the fiscal year, FY11. Then in terms of SG&A expenses, while we have managed to bring the SG&A overall, we have not cut down anything to do with investments for the future, whether it is capability building or in terms of sales in a new service or a new market. We have not shied away from investing in those. So I don't expect that the SG&A is going to go up because we have carefully controlled the cost only on the G&A side and not on the sales and marketing.
But by when do you expect the pricing improvement? By mid of FY11?
Hopefully, if we can get sometime later part of the fiscal year. Today I cannot give you any indication, but I hope that it will come towards the end of the fiscal year, later part of the fiscal year.
No range, you can't give.
I wish I could. 11 to 12.
Deepali, EP. Oh, sorry.
Hi, sir. So I wanted to understand this.
Mike.
Sorry. So your utilization rate, inclusive of trainees, is 74.3%, and excluding trainees is 81.8%. So we still have room for more utilization. So and the volume growth is at 4%. So I'm saying, so why these many, say net addition of 10,775 people, or the gross addition of 16,851? So, I mean, we still have, with our existing thing, we have still room for increasing our utilization. So why so many people?
See, 16,851, the gross addition that you see in this quarter, that includes the trainees that we have added in this quarter.
Yeah.
Right? That is about 8,500, as Chandra had mentioned earlier. So, and that is part of the overall campus offers that we had given, and we have kept our commitment. Out of 24,885, everybody has joined in this particular financial year. So that's the commitment that we have kept. Looking at the growth of the business, the way it's going to grow. So these trainees, once they get trained, then they will be available for placement on projects. And that is what is going to take us through during Q1 and Q2. And that is the reason why we are saying that the campus recruitment, what we have done in this particular financial year, for people to join in FY11, that is about 20,050 offers have already been given across 371 institutes. So that's the kind of scale that we are talking about, and we got 98% day one slot in campus recruitment. They will start joining us from Q2 onwards. And as you know, the training period is 3 to 5 months, and once they complete the training, then they would be available for deployment. So it's been very carefully planned, looking at the business plan, the way we have, the way the growth is coming in, and that is the reason for building this capacity. And as you notice that the utilization, including trainees, is 74.3%, which is from last quarter point of view, it has come down. That is primarily because of the trainees that we have onboarded in this quarter for our future growth.
No, one more winning, short one. For Chandra, is that so we have this YOY net profit growth of 50%. So now if we are comparing with it with the Q4 of 2008-9 and with this period, So we know that was a bad time, and so our performance went down, and so this 50% is with that comparison. So can I say that this is not sustainable going forward?
You can say that.
I can say that?
You can say that.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
If it makes you feel better.
Question about volume growth. You've obviously seen a tremendous volume growth, but given the kind of expectation that was built up from the last quarter, how would you compare what you have delivered from what you were expected at the time when you did your results and everything?
I think what we have delivered in terms of constant currency is on target, and in terms of margins we have done better.
Sure. But what about volume growth? I think the expectation was that there is a large amount of volume that is there to be brought. Is there some sort of a time lag between when that will begin to show? Or
I think for Q4 we have indicated that the volumes and the constant currency growth will be muted at the end of Q3, and we had also said that all the industry verticals will start to deliver but will grow.
So when does it ramp up?
It will ramp up. I think I've given you enough color. So
We started with lean and finished with it.
All right. So, Chandra, IT budgets are almost all frozen now. Give us a sense of the funnel, and this is just to understand the sense of the kind of deals we are looking on. Are clients committing to you long term, or it's still short term, double dip? Is that out of the picture? What is it that the clients are telling you?
in terms of IT budgets and the commitment to deals on running the business kind of deals, which are improving cost structures, bringing productivity, customers are committing long term. In terms of transformational deals, they are being handed out in phases. And I think that will be the trend, at least in near term, a few more quarters. That's what I would say.
So you had mentioned in between that this quarter marks the turning around of the entire problems that we saw in over so many years, last couple of years. Marks the turning around, a huge statement, sir.
So from our point of view, I don't want to comment whether it will be a double dip or square root or whatever, because I can't really predict the economic cycle and what's going to happen because still there are a lot of issues in the world, around the world, and there are countries facing problems. So I will not be able to say whether there will be a second dip or not. But what I would say though is, first time when the problem occurred, customers were in a state of shock. But this time, customers understand how to go about it. So the recovery is only from our point of view. It's not from the economic cycle point of view. Because our services and business model is part of the solution. Okay. So that's the distinction I want to make. I am not going to say there is not going to be a double dip or there is going to be a double dip.
So in that context, for you, it is a turning around.
For us, the turning around primarily means that last quarter we saw most of our verticals either were flat or grew. Even our worst verticals were flattish last quarter. We said that we would like all of them to deliver growth in Q4, and they did. So from my point of view, the way we look at our order book, our deal pipeline, etc., we think it's going to grow from here. But some of those verticals will be very narrow slope. Okay, they won't be steep. And that's all I can say. I can't really say about double and triple dips.
Bloomberg has a question. I went to this $1 billion deal. Is it the UK government pension deal?
Yes, it is.
And so, what growth are you looking at from the outsourcing business? From the outsourcing business, what growth are you looking at, and what is the growth in the last quarter?
See, we, from our point of view, our business model is about outsourcing. So I don't know how you count that. Most of our revenues will come from application outsourcing and infrastructure outsourcing. We don't do outsourcing in the sense of taking assets in our books. And our strategy currently is to stay away from that.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Join us for a cup of tea, television channels.